All right, welcome back, guys. We are now on day 4 of your fitness testing for the Highlander Performance Training System. I'm Connor, the personal trainer, and I'm just going to be running you through a breakdown of today, which is our 2K rowing testing day. Now, this one, if you're a novice rower, it can seem a little bit technical, but make sure to message me and we can chat a bit back and forth and get you all the finer details. So that everything can go well. And again, if you haven't been rowing regularly up to this point, if you don't row regularly and you don't do a lot of cardio and you don't really know how to row on the erg, you're basically just going to aim for around 8 minutes and just see if you can complete the test in around 8 minutes, or if you fall off before that. 8 minutes would be considered a very doable target, but if you're not familiar at all with the technique, your technique will be really inefficient. So your actual time may be well off of the standards that I've set out below. And that's okay. It just requires some technical fixing, which is something we can absolutely address and that I will break down further in future videos. For the purpose of today, we're just testing you to see where you're at. First things first, on the rower, there is going to be, or the ergometer, there's going to be a drag factor you can set. That's like the little lever that's on the wheel looking thing at the front of the rower, where the fan is contained in. So you can adjust that up or down. If you're a guy who's like 170 pounds or below, you should probably have it set at around 5. If you're like under 160, a 4, under 150, a 3, so on and so forth. Now that's not exact, and real rowers might be screaming at me that I'm an idiot. What you really want to do is go into your settings and find display drag factor and set the drag factor to about 120 if you're a really small guy, 130 if you're an average size, and 140 if you're a little bit on the bigger side. But if you don't know how to do that, you can YouTube it, or if you're just too lazy, just follow the outlines based on weight. If you're around like 185, you can set it to about a 7. If you're in the 190s, coming up to 200, you can set it around an 8. If you're that 210 to 220 range, you can set it at a 9. If you're above 225, go ahead and set it at 10. Again, that might not be perfect, but it'll give you a good baseline, so you can just easily, knowing your weight, set a drag factor that's going to be relatively close to where you should be at. Or you can do the research and figure out how to actually set the drag factor through the settings. Okay, so getting into it, first thing is going to be getting warm. So you're going to have your normal body weight stuff that's just going to keep you loose and limber. That's all going to be outlined in your program. You'll either find it in your PDF or on your Trainerize account. So go through that warm-up, get your body and your joints prepared for some action, and then we're going to get onto the rower, or the ergometer. I'm just going to call it the erg from now on. So the rowing machine is the erg. So you're going to jump on the erg, and the first thing you're going to do is you're just going to do 5 minutes of real easy, just kind of casually rowing, get your body a little bit warm. And then we're going to get into something a little more technical. So what we're going to do is, with the erg, you're driving with your legs, then you're leaning back, and then you're pulling through with your arms. So you can pull harder or less hard. It's not like other forms of cardio. You have this chain and you can really pull hard. So what we're going to do is you're going to pull for 15 seconds powerfully. So you're just going to try to pull really hard on every single pull for 15 seconds, and then you're going to do 1:45 of just easy, steady rowing. And you're going to repeat that 5 times. So you'll have spent a total of 5 minutes in the easy warm-up, and then 10 minutes doing these intervals where you're doing 15 seconds of hard pulling, and then 1:45 of easy pulling. And this is just going to prepare your body to pull a little bit harder. Once you're done that, hop off, walk around, take about 5 minutes, let your system recover fully, and then we're going to start your 2K test. And for the 2K test, again, if you haven't been rowing regularly, just try to finish the 2K. I recommend starting at, as you'll see on the screen, make sure to set the screen so that it's showing the /500 meters. And what it'll do is once you start rowing, it's going to show you your pace. So it might say like 1:48. That means you're going to take 1:48 to travel 500 meters on the erg. So if you've never done this before, if you're really out of shape, aim for like 2 minutes and 30 second splits, 2 minutes and 15 second splits, not a very high pace. If you're somewhat in shape, but you have no idea what you're doing on an erg, aim for like 2 minutes to 2:15 splits. if you're in decent shape and you're somewhat familiar, aim for at least 2 minutes. And then if you're pretty comfortable with it, aim for a little bit more than that. Try to get your time down. But again, if you've never tested your 2K, I recommend starting off cautiously, because if you start off too aggressive, you could really get owned. And you can always, if you're feeling good halfway through the test, pick up your pace and try to negative split it again. If you don't know what negative splitting is, that's where you're going to go out easier than you're going to finish, because it's just a lot better because you're not building up lactic acid early on in the test. Because as soon as you do that, you have to kind of go into the pain cave, as they call it, where everything hurts, and you just have to be comfortable in that and just keep digging. So we want to delay that as long as possible. So with the 2K strategy now, we have 3 different energy systems. There's your anaerobic alactic, your anaerobic lactic, and your aerobic. So just to go into that a little bit more, anaerobic alactic, that's like your sprint burst system. Think like, 100-meter dash, stuff like that. So what that's going to do is, even if there's no oxygen present, you can produce a big burst of energy for about 10-ish seconds, somewhere between 8 and 10 seconds, without building up a lot of lactic acid. But we can only really do it once, and then if we have a nice long rest, we can recover that system, but it takes time. So to take advantage of that system, what we want to do is, to get the best 2K possible, we want to pull really hard for your first 15 pulls. So you're going to pull as hard and fast as you can right off at the start. So when you're getting ready, 3, 2, 1, go. First 15 pulls, you're going to count 1, 2, all the way up to 15, and you're going to pull really hard. And what that's going to do is you're going to use your anaerobic alactic system to generate a lot of power, and it's just going to help you to get a really good start time. And that's going to set you up to succeed with your final time. But as soon as you finish that 15th stroke, and if you're really out of shape, just cut it back to 10 strokes instead of 15, or if you're not in rowing shape. So you're going to do your 10 to 15 pulls as hard and fast as you can. Now for this example, let's say you're aiming for a 2-minute split because you're somewhat fit, but you're not really a rower at all. You don't really know much about rowing. So when you're doing this, you should be pulling around like a 1-minute, 40-second split or better. Maybe a 1:45, just depends how powerful you are. But you should be pulling a pretty fast 500 pace. And you're only going to do this for 10 to 15 pulls. As soon as you get to that last pull, you're going to shift gears down. And let's say you're aiming for an 8-minute 2K, which is a rower would laugh at you, but for a normal person, it's an adequate time for a normal guy. So what you're going to do is you're going to aim for 4 seconds slower than your goal pace. Since our goal time is 8 minutes in this example, what you want to do is aim for basically 2-minute splits, a split being a 500-meter interval. So you're going to have 4 2-minute splits. You're going to add up 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals 8, and 500 plus 500 plus 500 plus 500 equals 2K. So you're going to hit your 2K in 8 minutes. Now again, because of the way our energy systems work, we're not just going to do it in a straight shot, but that's just to illustrate how 500-meter splits work. So you're going to do your 10 to 15 hard pulls, and then what you're going to do is you're going to aim for 4 seconds slower than your goal split time. So where it says the little number and then the slash 500 meters, you're going to aim for, in this example, a 2-minute and 4-second split time. So you're going to be going 4 seconds slower than your goal pace. And the reason we're doing that is we want to negative split the race. So first we use our free burst energy in those first 10 to 15 strokes. Now it's burned up. Now we're switching to trying to stay as aerobic as possible, which means that we're working with a lot of oxygen in our body and we're not producing lactic acid. So we're not burning too much, so that when we get to the end and we're really burning and we're feeling a lot of lactate, we still can push through. If you do it too early, you're going to burn out early, and then you're just going to struggle in the last half of this. So you're trying to go a little bit slower at 2:04 so that you can stay relatively aerobic. Now again, I think in video 2 it was, maybe video 1, I explained it's a bit of a continuum. So you're not just either aerobic or anaerobic, period. You're not just using oxygen or using lactate, period. It's not one or the other. It's a continuum. So you're going to be building up a little bit of lactate. There'll be a bit of burn, but we're staying as aerobic as possible, and we're more on this side of the spectrum, and we'll gradually transition this way throughout the 2K. So now on the display, you can see it counting up your meters. You get to 500 meters, and you've been pulling at a 2:04 split, so 2:04 per 500 meters. You hit the 500 meter mark. Now what we're going to do is you're going to pick up the pace just a tiny little bit. So now again, if your target's 8 minutes, we're going to bump it down to a 2:03 split. So you're going to pull just a tiny bit faster. Around the 500 meter mark, your legs are already going to start to hurt, especially if you don't row often. And this is where your mind's going to be like a little bit like, whoa, we're only a quarter of the way in. But it's okay. It's not as long as you think. You just need to keep pulling. So just get that 2:03 pace or whatever your desired pace is. You're just going to knock 1 second off of your split time. And you're going to do that for 500 meters to 1,000 meters. Now you hit 1,000 meters. You're officially at the halfway mark. And we're going to really start to slide this way on the aerobic to anaerobic continuum. So you're going to start to be really burning a lot more. We're going to pick it up again, just by 1 second on the split. So now we're going for, in this example, a 2:02. So we're going for 2 seconds slower than your goal pace. And you're going to hold that until 1,500 meters. From 1,500 meters to 1,700 meters, so the next 200 meters, you're going to go to a 2:01 pace. And then for the last 300 meters, you're going to sprint all out. So as you're rowing, your stroke rate, it's going to really vary depending on where it is. But what we're going to do is from the last 300 meters, I want you to get your stroke rate as high as possible. So you're basically just going as fast as possible. And you're not going to lean back as much as you pull. You're going to stay a little more upright and just pick up the stroke rate. So shorter, faster strokes. And you're just going to gun it as hard as you can. And you're going to keep going and keep going and keep going until you hit the 2K mark. And then you can fall off the erg and lie in a puddle of sweat on the floor and, just recover. So that's how we're going to do the 2K. One thing you can do is bring a little pad of sticky notes with you and jot down your target times and then stick it on the display of the erg so that you have your splits in front of you, because it can be a lot to remember. So that's a good little trick you can do as well. But just a broad overview again, if your time is going to be faster than 8 minutes, or if you're aiming for faster than 8 minutes, you row quite a bit, you think you can beat it, pick the time that you think you can get. And then basically you're going to do 15 hard pulls. For the first 500, go 4 seconds slower than your goal pace. So if you're trying to hit a 140, you're going to go for a 144. If you're trying to hit 2 minutes, you're going to go for a 2:04, 4 seconds slower. From 500 to 1,000, 3 seconds slower. From 1,000 to 1,500, 2 seconds slower. From 1,500 to 1,700 meters, 1 second slower. And then for the final 300 meters, get the stroke rate as high as possible, shorten the lean back at the back of your stroke, and just gun it and go as fast as you possibly can. You should definitely be beating your goal time. If your goal time was a 2-minute split, you better be under a 2-minute split, because we stayed aerobic in the first half and we're trying to leave something in the tank. If you can't go faster than your desired split time, it just means that you chose a target that was too ambitious and your body's burning out a little bit and you're probably in a whole world of pain. So you're just going to have to struggle it out and learn from it. But that's it. And then all you're going to do is just 20 minutes of super easy cardio, hop on the elliptical or just row real light, jump on the bike, 20 minutes, get your heart rate down to below 130, so 130 beats per minute. Try to find one of the machines where you can actually test your heart rate. And then once you have it below 130, you're just going to cruise there for 20 minutes and just allow all the lactic acid to clear out of your body. And then you're going to couch stretch for 2 minutes aside to open your hips up a little bit. And that's going to be it for the day. 2K by itself is quite enough for one day. So that's how we're going to do the 2K time. Now I know it's a little bit technical, a lot of little details. So I've posted everything in the description below to give you some examples of what some possible times might look like. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have any other questions, get in touch. And I wish you good luck on your 2K. It is one of the hardest tests you will do, but it makes you a man, it makes you tough, and it's great for building a ton of aerobic and anaerobic power. Okay, guys, good luck, and let me know if you need anything. Take care.